What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Odd Chopper channel, coming to you with another edition. Well, ladies, links, likes, and locks, hit that NBA stuff, hit the like button, subscribe button, notification bell goes a long way for me on this video, goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. I have no idea what that word vomit was there at the beginning of that, but hey, we're going to continue on. Producer Jacob's laughing because he's like, the hell did he just say? But you know what? It doesn't matter because my picks are good. I've been smashing for the last about 3.5 weeks. We really turned on the burners. Had a great NBA week. That is for damn sure. Had a great NFL Sunday as well. If you followed along, Justin Jefferson to the moon. That couldn't have been a lot more fun in a million years. A little bit disappointing that the Bears weren't more competitive. Kind of a failure of a spot there. But otherwise, Tampa Bay covering. Had some really good props across the board all day. Couldn't have asked for a lot more. So you know what? We're going to stay humble. We're going to stay relaxed. And we're just going to stay on course. We're going to keep our nose to the grindstone, whatever the hell that means. Grindstone is just a weird word. Anyway, producer Jacob, hi. Good to see you again. We'll talk BetMGM. We'll talk a little Odd Shopper, but 6 games on the slate here for Monday. Excited to talk it through. Let's just do that then. Producer Jacob, let's get to the picks. Well, producer Jacob's being mean to me. I'm going to start talking about basketball and be productive, although this game is not the one I want to talk about. Oklahoma City, 11.5-point favorites coming into this one. Let me pull up my sheet because it just disappeared. There it is. Hello again. No injury news. That's a problem. You know why? Because Daddy likes injury news. It's a good thing because then you can embrace uncertainty. You can basically say, well, we can get in extremely good value when you're able to read the tea leaves. And I've been pretty good at that over the years. But again, Delon Wright and Landry Shamet, the only 2 players questionable in this one, doesn't do a whole hell of a lot for me. So I'll at least give a special shout out to 2 guys. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who has the second highest EPM over at dunks and threes. It's just estimated plus minus. How you go about looking at the impact of a player over 100 possessions of a basketball game. Him and Joel Embiid are on another stratosphere. Only 2 guys in double digits, and third is Giannis. So, that's the caliber of player we're talking about now when we talk about SGA. But there's one marked difference to this team between last year and this year. I think it's very obvious that is Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren, he is 10th in EPM, plus 5. Ridiculous stuff from the rookie. Again, now runaway rookie of the year, Chet Holmgren. If it voted on it today, I think he'd be a landslide winner over Victor Wembanyama. So, kind of insane to think that would have been something you could have got at plus money, massive plus money at the beginning of the season, because Wembanyama was a big minus money favorite. But either way, Washington. Did you see who's the worst in the NBA in plus minus? Yeah, you should probably already know by now. Jordan Poole. I saw it and I was like, he would have been my first guest anyway. So it is what it is. He's been that bad. Every minute he's on the floor is losing basketball games. But not that Washington's interested in actually winning them. They're just they got to figure something out. Jordan Poole sure was stupid, and everybody knew it right from the get-go. Thought he'd at least be good from like a fantasy perspective. Even that hasn't panned out. So let's just tread lightly here. It's going to be a lean on Oklahoma City, minus 11.5, but there's going to be no news. Maybe this moves a point, but I'm not going to feel like I left out, considering I think this line is pretty efficient as is. It could be 12.5. I wouldn't take that. Again, the margin isn't there at minus 110, considering you're the one laying the juice there. You have the vig. You have the handle. No thank you. Pass. Next game. This is more interesting. Lots of questionable tags. Let's run through them here for Boston, because 2.5, that should already have alarm bells going off in your head when you see minus 2.5 here. Anybody who does this on a day-to-day basis, they see 2.5 on Boston and they just say, I have to be locking that, right? Let's be a little bit careful here. Obviously, the injury news is the major part of that. Questionable Jason Tatum. Questionable Kristaps Porzingis. Questionable Sam Hauser. But Indy has their questionable tags too. Bruce Brown, questionable after playing the other night. Andrew Nembhard, questionable after sitting the other night. And Isaiah Jackson, woo, he is for real. Actually, he's really good when he's on the floor for like his 12 to 14 minutes. But Isaiah Jackson also questionable entering this one. So there's some things waiting on the Indiana side of things as well. Of course, their core, Halliburton, Turner. Bruce Brown, I would call part of their core. Benedict Matherin's been playing great, and Obi Toppin's been playing great off the bench here of late as well, starting to at least be functional offensively, because he's never going to be functional defensively. You just have to accept that when you have Obi Toppin. But hey, Indy, they're not exactly out there trying to slow down pace in any way, shape, or form. Number 1 now in pace, 103.5 possessions per 48 minutes. And yeah, look at this thing. Look at this thing, 243.5. Pretty low total because Boston, they're not trying to get up there and pace themselves, sitting down there at 98.7 possessions per 48 minutes. That is 21st in the association. So pretty efficient total, but I'm going to embrace the line here because 2.5 is just too good of a number. If you get either Tatum or Kristaps to actually play in this one, I got to think the line moves. This is almost something that feels baked in to say both of them are going to sit, Bruce Brown's going to play, and everything's going to break the way of Indy. Now, I'm being trepidatious because maybe something is there in the injury news that I'm not seeing, but like assuming that Jason Tatum is a 50-50 shot and Kristaps Porzingis is a 50-50 shot, I'm going to take this every single time for a half unit. Boston minus 2.5. I think it's the clear-cut side to be on between these two. As good as Indy's been offensively at times, they have major lapses in defense. And did you know Derek White has been freaking fantastic this season? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did. Outrageous, the jump in this guy's game. Pop knew he had to get rid of his good player for the time being. Maybe you should have got a little bit more for Derek White and let him play a little bit more when he was in San Antonio. Just an idea. Just an idea. San Antonio baffles me. This does not. Boston minus 2.5. You know what else doesn't baffle me? Odd Chopper. Reds $14.95 for the weekly, $49.95 for the monthly. It is everything we have here at Odd Chopper. Now, I know this might sound crazy to you, but the idea of like picks was never something that fascinated me because I wanted a process. I wanted to have smart people be able to tell me what I was doing wrong, what I was doing right. Why do you have certain things on the card? But you know what? That's the beauty of this price point, because if you're like a $20 a game better, a $10 a game better, this is still going to be very functional for you. It doesn't have to be a $200 price point, where you have to bet $100 a game and then you're cutting into your margins at the end of it. Again, $14.95 weekly to ask me any questions you want in the premium Discord to see exactly what I'm betting. I post my cards in there. I post prize picks. I post my lines. I post everything that I'm firing up at any point in time into that premium Discord. And that is the beauty of it, is I'm being upfront, honest with you, just like I am here on this program, showing you the picks day in, day out, talking about the recap. Obviously, sometimes I record earlier in the day, and, I have Kyrie Irving over 22.5 points. I got to wait for the end of that one here tonight, even though he's at 15 right now near the end in the first half, so that's boding well. But, again, the OS Premium Tools is really where it's at here. I'm talking about the Discord because, again, it used to be $20 for that. Now it's $15 for the week. But the OS Premium Tools, being able to use the market-based approach to be able to see the top expected value bets, comparing sportsbooks in your state, no matter where you are, no matter how you're betting, even if you're in a spot where you're just using prize picks and underdog, if you're in a state that's not legal, we have you covered with the OS Premium Tools. So check them out. Promise you'll love what you see. And hey, use promo code Lindy when you do. 20% off using promo code Lindy to get the expert picks in the Discord. Yes, the premium tools, everything we have here at Odd Shopper for you for then $12 for your first week, $42 if you so choose for your first month. Alrighty, y'all, back to the picks we go. This is a wonky card today, but this is something that I think is actually kind of on the sharper end of what I'm considering, because I do think we're going to get a low number that you want to attack early on this, you're going to get major plus money on this. Not major. You're going to get something on this, friends, because Nick Richards has not been putting up double-doubles, but let's talk through it. Chicago -6 taking on Charlotte here. Only a 6-point spread here for Charlotte. They have been in a ton of blowouts. One, they're not good. Two, they did beat Sacramento, but everybody's beating Sacramento here in the last week, which is a whole nother conversation. They got completely ran out of the gym twice at home now within the last week. And this is Charlotte beating them. That's his evisceration of, that's damning evidence right there against Sacramento here of late. Been talking about the regression for them. What didn't pull the trigger on plus 850 Charlotte money line, probably should have, but also, again, it's all about expected value, and it didn't pop on Odd Shopper, didn't pop for me looking at anything that I'm doing, so that was unfortunate. But I will say Charlotte playing more competitive here, considering Terry Rozier is back into our lives. Cody Martin back into the starting unit. Thank God. I've been clamoring for them to start him over these Bryce McCowans and JT Thors that they start from time to time. That just confuses me, because Cody Martin, it's not that he's an elite player. He's quite possibly not very good, but he at least provides some kind of defensive perspective and some kind of offensive firepower to just keep up with teams. And 30 minutes of him, 32 minutes of him, that's more important to me than having any Bryce McGowans, because that guy does not interest me in any way, shape, or form. I apologize to his family if they're watching. But Chicago, on the other side of this one, gets back Vooch. Vooch plays last game off the bench. Andre Drummond gets the start. I think we see that flip-flop more than likely in this spot, so just enjoy that. But Patrick Williams questionable, Alex Caruso questionable, so all the news could go away from this spread. -6. It really doesn't change that drastically, I think, with those two pieces in, but it would require more minutes from Ayo Dosunmu, and it would require more minutes from a Javon Carter, from a Terry Taylor back into the mix. Like, those are brutal pieces to have out there, as opposed to Caruso, who's a winning basketball player, and Patrick Williams, who at least has defensive length. So what am I looking at here? Well, you're looking at staggered minutes of a true 5 for Chicago, with a spread that's going to keep this intact, so the blowout potential here is pretty mitigated. I think Nick Richards sees a lot of floor time barring foul trouble and barring blowout, and that, friends, makes it very interesting considering he's going to have plus money on his double-doubles. I think you attack it early because no PJ Washington and no Mark Williams. They have to bring out something called a Nathan Menza to play minutes here. He played 17 minutes the other night, backup for Nick Richards. And then JT Thor would have to play some type of minutes. He played 16 against Chicago, had some minutes at the 5. So Nick Richards is going to be on the floor as many minutes as he can humanly possibly handle. So you got to be sharp and you got to get to this one early. I'm pretty sure it's not out yet. But looking back through previous numbers, Nick Richards to double-double, 32, 34 minutes of him is actually in play. And for a guy with his rates, that is fascinating to me. Think this is a sneaky play. So yes, it's a lean, but anything with a plus money attached to it, I'm going to fire, as should you. Houston taking on Miami, +5 from Houston here. A little bit. I mean, how? He can't keep getting away with it. And Eric Spoelstra finding ways to make this Miami team competitive. Jimmy Butler's been out for a long time here now, and they just keep finding ways to sneak games on the road, beating up a Lakers team. Now, last time I looked a little bit more flat, but 20-15, now you're 5-point favorites against a Houston team that's actually shown some moxie. This is wild to me. Now, Dylan Brooks continues to be out. Tari Eason continues to be out, so that's pretty much, defensively, that's a little bit of an issue for them. Jayshawn Tate, Jabari Smith, they're going to go slow down in pace. Amin Thompson. Wild to think that Amin Thompson is the guy playing more minutes than his brother. Asar disappearing from Detroit for the most part. Not sure how that... Oh, yeah, Bojan Bogdanovic is a way better basketball player. That would be your answer. But as you look on the Miami side, obviously Jimmy Butler out, but no news really pending in this one whatsoever. And yet there's one number that I think is a little bit high. We have a 216.5 total. So one of my favorite things is basically projecting out the players, having the rotations. And they've had a pretty tight rotation in the last few games here on the Miami side of things. I only have 9 players projected. Now, Jamal Cain has occasionally showed up in this rotation. So we'll call it 9.5. We've got Jovic, who was starting, now probably not going to be, considering Haywood Highsmith is off the injury report. I expect him to come back into the starting spot. But got Bam Adebayo, 34 minutes of him, 23.5 is the points prop on them in this spot. This is a really low total, and as I was working through it, I thought 21 was kind of the appropriate number here. He averages 22 per game. He's only averaging 34 minutes per game, and this is a Houston team that plays really, really slow. Alperen Sengun is obviously the weakest link in that defensive rotation, but you know what? I think this is kind of just a misprice to a certain extent. I just don't know if I trust it enough to pull the trigger. Again, this is one of those, you could do it, you could also not do it. I talked about Nick Richards as the lean. I think that play has more interest to me, depending on what the opening number is, than this one. But under for Bam Adebayo, 23.5 points. I'm leaning that direction. Just don't know if it feels... Again, the data is telling me to fire on this, and I'm just going against it. Just going to call it a lean for you. Again, don't want to force in a play that I don't completely trust. If you want it, you can attach it. I think it's okay, but I think it's going to be on the outside looking in on my card if it stays there. If it moves to 24, I'm taking the under. And I would be taking this no matter what state you're in, as long as you got legalized betting, friends. BetMGM is a sports book you want to have access to. If you have DraftKings, if you have FanDuel, I think BetMGM is a great third sportsbook to add to the mix. If you've got multiple, again, a market-based approach is shopping for the best lines. These books want your business. So give it to them when you get the best price for whatever plays you prefer. You can go into OddsShopper, you can sort by the top of the EV tool, and you can have in your state the best plays over at BetMGM. So sign up down at the link below. When you deposit $10 or more at BetMGM, you're going to get 2 months of OddsShopper tools plus Discord access just for trying it out. That's a $100 value for, again, $10 or more. Now, you could claim up to $1,500 in bonus bets, depending on how much you want to be depositing and if you've got the bankroll for it. May I suggest massive plus money dogs to try to really increase your ROI with that initial bet. But I understand taking your time, building a bankroll takes time. So if you're just getting started here, take advantage of the OddsShopper tools and Discord access so you can take advantage of it at all the books at the same time that you're trying out BetMGM when you deposit $10 or more at the link below. Again, take advantage of this offer. I don't know how long this stuff is going to exist for, so you do want to be quick to the market on these and get those 2 months of OddsShopper tools and Discord access. You can talk to me about your plays day in, day out. Good stuff, friends. Only if you're 21 and over. If you have a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. 2 more games, back to the picks we go. Oh boy, Damian Lillard out. Milwaukee hosting Utah. Sorry, Mr. Jackson. Woo. Andre Jackson probably going to be starting in this spot, but does that interest anybody? Not me. Marion Beauchamp probably steps into the rotation a little bit more, but I mean, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, they're going to be able to do just fine here. But yeah, no campaign in the membrane. You got Damian Lillard out. Point guards, few and far between, probably becomes Andre Jackson. And then that Giannis character is going to have the ball in his hands a lot. As for the Utah side of things, Lauri Markkanen made us a lot of money. Yeah, it's the only time that I can bet him in the last week because everybody keeps getting healthier. They keep getting in these spots where they're massive double-digit dogs, whether it's Boston, whether it's Milwaukee. And it's just so hard to want to pull the trigger on just about anything. John Collins, 24-ish minutes here. Jordan Clarkson, been playing really well off the bench at times. I do expect negative regression for him. And Walker Kessler, kind of mitigated into a 24-minute-a-game role. Keontae George, I mean, they're kind of putting him on the back burners. I got to think they're going to try to move Clarkson, move Markkanen, move anything they can before the deadline. Try to get assets because this team in its current iteration is just it's brutal. And it has pieces that I'm actually interested in. Not Fontecchio or Fettuccini or I don't know. He seems like a nice guy. Lauri Markkanen, we know how much I love him. He's a winning basketball player, but that's about it. Walker Kessler, if he can be healthy and like figure out how to play some form of offense one day, that'd be cool. But this is really all about Giannis here. You got a team on the other side here that doesn't really add a whole lot offensively. You have Milwaukee playing at the 3rd fastest pace in the NBA, 102.5 possessions per 48 minutes. And now you're going to get an absolutely world-scorned Giannis Antetokounmpo, quotes coming out saying how bad they've been. They suck. They need to figure out this, and that the equipment manager needs to get better. That was an interesting one. But the guys put up back-to-back 44 and 48-point outings, barely beating San Antonio on a back-to-back. And then Houston, that close loss, he played awesome 48, 17, and 2. What more do you want? And now you're going to get it without Lillard, and the opening number is only 56.5 PRA, which is hilarious that I just said only 56.5 PRA. But I like the over. And I also like the over of this, friends. Over 48.5 points plus rebounds. Let's just go after the main stats that he's going to accumulate in bunches playing 38, 40 minutes. And if this thing does blow out, the only way it does is Giannis plays absolutely to the max. So here you go. Kind of thought about Utah plus 11.5 on the other side of it. I know that seems a little ironic, but 48.5 points plus rebounds, minus 105 or plus 100. You can get either of those numbers here at the moment. Give me that over the PRA here at the moment. And the last game of the night, I apologize. I thought I'd save to tell you until now that I don't have an official lock on this card. But Phoenix on a back-to-back, taking on the Clippers in LA. Have you ever seen something this curious in your life? I sure haven't, because Kevin Durant shows up and plays basketball against Memphis tonight. And I thought for sure he was going to end up resting when John Morant gets ruled out, and that he would end up playing in this spot because they need him a lot more against the Clippers. But now, are we going to get Beal, who just came back from injury, did play on a back-to-back for what it's worth, Devin Booker, and Mr. Kevin Durant all in this spot? Eric Gordon ends up sitting there on Sunday. Does he end up playing here on Monday in a revenge in his heart spot? I don't know. There's a lot of curious things. And that is where I'm just saying, barring any kind of news that can show up here, barring something that shows up before you hear this, I'm going to set some parameters because this is something I'm extremely interested in betting as soon as this number drops, as long as it drops in the range that I think it will. 7.5. That is where I'm going to set the number at ahead of time. As I work through everything, I assume the books are seeing the exact same thing that I am. I don't think they're stupid. They are very smart. They have big buildings. They have great websites for a reason. So we have to be smarter in some capacity. And sometimes it's embracing volatility like this. Does Kevin Durant play on a back-to-back? I say no right from the get-go. Does Bradley Beal play on the back-to-back? I kind of do. And I do think Eric Gordon ends up back in too. But this is a team in the Clippers that is just firing on all cylinders and is perfectly healthy and was able to limit because they ran New Orleans out of the gym here the other night. They are going to be ready to rock here in this spot against a Phoenix Suns team that, again, you need to have Kevin Durant. That's kind of the big stipulation here. If this number ends up smaller than that 7.5, where I'm saying like the baseline, that's with everybody in, we could be looking at a double-digit spread here, actually, which is like insane to say out loud. Again, I could look really, really stupid with this if everybody's ruled in and that it's like 3.5 or 4.5 or something like that. But I think you want to be early to the party on this with anything less than 7.5 because I don't expect Durant to play. I'd be shocked if Durant played. I'd set it at like 80-20, which is enough for me to want to jump on this line immediately when it drops. It's not out yet. I didn't find it on an offshore book. Take a look at other places. Again, you want to try to find the information where you think the line could end up no matter where. Had some sharp people that helped me really figure out where I think this number could land. That's where we kind of figured it out to be. And if it's inside of the number, we bet it instantly. So I'm calling it a lean lock. I know this was a lot of information, but this is actually the game that I'm the most interested in betting from a spread perspective immediately. Again, Boston minus 2.5 is lovely. You can have news work against you here. News is only going to work for you here based on the opening number going into that evening. Again, Phoenix is a good team if everybody plays on the back-to-back. They could also punt this and say, fuck it. So enjoy, friends. Clippers money line, just a lean, could be a lock. I'm going to be covering it on Lindy's Locks Update over on my X, at Eric Lindquist, Twitter/X. Go follow me there. Come watch Lindy's Locks Update. This is going to be what I cover, and I'm going to cover the change in the number because I'm sure it's going to change a lot from open until whenever I record tomorrow afternoon and before first tip for sure. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. You know what to do. Go to that comment section below. Let me know if you had a good NFL Sunday. Let me know if you were able to jump on any of the Prize Picks cards that I posted over on my X, at Eric Lindquist. Go follow me there. Let me know if you've tailed any of my bets here, any of my cards, because, again, it's been going pretty well here in the last couple weeks. We're going to keep the momentum going, feeling confident in the ability of the tools here at OddsShopper to make you some money. You can sign up for that down below as well. $15 for a week, but then $12 for your first week when you use promo code Lindy to sign up. Thank you to producer Jacob. Thank you to BetMGM. All the good things. Let's keep the momentum rolling. Eyes, clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. I missed that show. Friday Night Lights. Good stuff. I'll see you back here on Tuesday. Until next time, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NBA streets on Monday.